August 27th, 2007. That is the release date of Metroid Prime 3. 17 and a half years later, on December 4th, 2025, Metroid Prime 4 finally released. So, peeps, I love Metroid. It is one of the most consistent, high-quality franchises Nintendo has ever put out. And it introduced the world to one of the first ever female video game protagonists, and I would argue, one of the greatest of all time, Samus Aran. The Metroid franchise has had a long-lasting impact on gaming as a whole, with many series drawing inspiration from it. Metroid is half of the foundation of the Metroidvania genre, one that in recent years has seen a big boost in popularity due in no small part to games like Hollow Knight. My past with Metroid starts on the GameCube with Metroid Prime 2. I barely got into this game, mostly due to disliking the controls, and then nothing. I did nothing with this franchise until 2021 when Metroid Dread appeared on store shelves and blew my mind. The trailers looked so good, like oh my god, and playing it, this is one of the greatest games ever in my opinion. The gameplay, the atmosphere, it all made me a fan of Metroid. Okay, by now you've no doubt noticed the VSync on my recordings is off. My capture card and Streamlabs and OBS have this weird issue where if I don't do a certain thing, it'll frick with the VSync on my recordings, and so a good chunk of this video is gonna have VSync issues, unfortunately, and there's no avoiding it. So just ripping off that band-aid now. I apologize. Hopefully it won't happen again in the future. Okay, bye. Up until that point, my main exposure to the series was from Smash Brothers, as I'm sure it is with many others my age. I was born in 2004, so most of my childhood was spent in the late 2000s and early 2010s. I was too young to watch Avatar when it aired, and too old to catch Steven Universe. I watched lots of Adventure Time, though.
Marceline, is it just you and me in the wreckage of the world?
So most of my formative years were spent in the dark period for Metroid games. Before 2007, we had a semi-consistent lineup of high-quality Metroid games. I do dislike base Metroid 1 for the NES. I think it's a product of its time and not really in a good way, like Mario was. I have never played Metroid 2, it's still the only game I never dabbled in. Super Metroid is really good, but I still haven't gotten that far in it. But Metroid Zero Mission and Metroid Fusion for the GBA are two of that console's best games. I've beaten both, and they are genuine classics. I couldn't get into the Metroid 2 remake on the 3DS, mostly due to having played Dread first, I think, and I just found that Samus Returns just kind of controls worse than that game, and so I never really, gravitated to it, but I do plan on going back to it at some point, but I just haven't gotten around to it. But yeah, Dread is what made me a fan, and to this day, is still my favorite in the series. After beating Dread, I played Zero Mission and Fusion on the Wii U Virtual Console, which was awesome. And before that service shut down, I bought Metroid Prime Trilogy for the Wii. But moving back a second, during my childhood, the only Metroid games to release were Other M and the spin-off games like Federation Force or Hunters, and they never looked good to me, and so I never got into the series when I was a kid. Like I said, until Dread, when I was 16. But anyways, after buying Prime Trilogy, I tried getting into those games again, and it didn't work. While I didn't dislike what I played of Prime 1, I found the controls just annoying to manage. I don't like playing FPS games with mouse and keyboards, and I didn't really like using the Wii Remote either, so I set it down halfway through, and I never picked it back up again. Until February 9th, 2023, Metroid Prime Remastered released on Switch. I bought it day one, and guys, I think we found it. I plowed through this game over the course of a few days, and I loved it. It played like a real video game, and the texture work was fantastic in the remaster, and overall an improved game in my opinion. After finishing it, I had a thought. Whenever Nintendo is making a new game in a long dormant series, they tend to do a remaster or a re-release of an older game, like with Donkey Kong Country Returns coming out before Donkey Kong Bonanza, or when they brought Pikmin 1 and 2 to the Switch after they announced Pikmin 4. So I thought they were going to announce Metroid Prime 4, aren't they? June 2024. I was so in. This was going to be a day one pickup for me, and I did in fact pick it up day one.
I am at the mall. I'm here for one thing. Metroid Prime 4, Thursday, November 4th, December 4th. And this will be epic sauce. I am now the official owner of Metroid Prime 4. Allow me to go to KFC and get some popcorn chicken and fries before I depart from the mall. Taco time.
All this is to say that myself and many others have been waiting a long time for this game to come out. To give reference for how long it was, I went to kindergarten and then graduated high school and started making YouTube videos all in the gap between Metroid Prime 3 and 4. To say I was excited for this game would be an understatement to end all understatements. This is easily my most anticipated game of 2025. You can see I'm reading my script off my laptop. And now, it is time for me to give you my complete thoughts on, review for, and opinion of Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. It's good to be home. Now, before I actually start talking about the game, this is going to be fairly in-depth in all the aspects I want to talk about. And I will be talking about basically everything, in each in their own sections. So if you want a pure experience with the game, do not watch this video. There will be spoilers the entire time. I'll be covering every power-up, every upgrade, every character, the whole story, everything. So this is not a spoiler-free review. So if you haven't played the game yet and you want to remain spoiler-free, please feel free to leave now. So yeah, you've been warned. And I will also say I am playing this on Switch 2, and I won't be talking about the Switch 1 edition at all in this video because I have not played it. The opening. Loading up the game, we are greeted with one of the coolest opening cutscenes in the 2020s. Silex and his band of Metroid-controlled space pirates are invading a research facility on the planet Tamarath or something, I forgot. Samus lands on the planet and you instantly gain control. Making your way through the facility, you get a great overview of the game's abilities and controls, and you face a giant corrupt space pirate, before Silex appears and shoots the magic artifact thing, and Samus awakens on the strange planet of Vuros.
All in a daze. Whoa! God, whoa! You!
Hey, you wanna have a staring contest?
Alright guys, no one die and distract me, damn it!
You lost.
And now, it's time to do your Metroid Prime-like things. I think this tutorial acts as a great reintroduction of the Metroid Prime format, something I think the rest of the game does well too. So with the knowledge of the setup, let's go aspect by aspect so I can be as comprehensive as possible about each subject. Starting with gameplay. Would you believe me if I told you Metroid Prime 4 plays like a Metroid Prime game? Metroid Prime 4 is an incredibly polished first-person shooter. The first FPS came to hook me since, God, I don't know, Splitgate 1 probably? Everything here from aiming, shooting, jumping feels incredibly smooth, and combat in this game feels better than it did in Prime Remastered in my opinion. Mostly due to how the aiming works. When locked onto an enemy, if you move the controller, the cursor remains locked, but also allows you to use gyro to aim around and hit enemies' weak spots easier. I did have a few issues with this where I forgot about it and I ended up missing a lot of my shots, but it was definitely not a big deal. I'm a huge fan of normal aiming controls with a little gyro in my video games, just a little bit, like in Breath of the Wild. And it feels great here to me as well. But other than that, the rest of the combat is your standard Metroid Prime affair. and I think it feels way better here than in Prime Remastered. New to Metroid Prime 4, however, is Viola, a new magic bike thing.
Aw, hell yeah! Bitchin'. Room. Sick jump. Ow. Sick flip.
And now, I know there is some controversy surrounding this bike, mostly due to the amiibo, but I plan on talking about that later, so for now, yeah, it's a bike. Introduced in Metroid Prime 4 is this big open hub area called the Soul Valley, and in order to traverse it quickly, you are given Viola, the magic space bike that can shoot discs, and hit people with magic force beams. And yeah, it's pretty fun to drive. Not as fun to do combat with, however. Viola only has one attack, and that's locking onto things and then shooting the disc. There is this drift move, but I find myself never really needing to use it, since hitting things directly with Viola does basically the same thing, and without having to do the drift, I can always just focus on continuously shooting stuff. There are a few boss fights that use Viola as well. And while I didn't hate these, I do think they were a decent amount longer and more frustrating than they needed to be, simply because the camera control on Viola isn't that great. Since you're moving so fast, and you need to be facing the camera at the thing you need to shoot, which means you're not looking ahead of you, so you can easily hit obstacles and mess up your aim. And it's not the worst thing ever, but I did find these a lot longer and more frustrating than I wanted to. Metroid Prime 4 is also significantly easier than Prime Remastered was, and I don't really see this as a bad thing. I'll get into more detail later, but Prime 4 is a masterclass of design work in like 85% of the game. So I got all of the collectibles in a Metroid game for the first time ever on my first playthrough. And so I was fully kitted out with all optional upgrades by the end, and was basically at max HP for the entire latter portion of my playthrough. There is a hard mode, but you have to unlock it by beating the game first, and I am not willing to fight the final boss again on hard mode, and I'll let you know why later. Again though, I don't really see this game being easy as a bad thing. Like, I know Pikmin 4 was easy too, and with a new update they made it even easier, but I also think that easier games in these franchises make them more accessible to new fans. I do wish there was better difficulty balance in both Pikmin 4 and Prime 4. I also think having hard mode be unlocked from the get-go in Prime 4 would have made it better. But that's neither here nor there. For me, as a more casual FPS player, I think the difficulty was perfect, still giving me plenty of challenge, without making me frustrated by needless deaths for most of the game. To sum up what I just said about the gameplay, Prime 4 is an extremely polished game that feels fantastic to play. The moment-to-moment gameplay is near perfect for most of the game. Now, before I touch on the other aspects of the game, like the world, the story, the design, the enemies, I need to talk about the characters. Characters.
Thank you, Samus.
You look like you skipped leg day.
I'm a specialist, Miles McKenzie, engineer level 4.
Clearly didn't skip brain day, nerd.
In the pre-released footage for the game that came out about a month before the game launched, we got our first look at one of the 5 Galactic Federation troopers, Specialist Miles McKenzie. And in the pre-release footage, a lot of people found him really annoying. And honestly, I did too. But other than the small section at the beginning of the game, he's barely with you while you're doing anything. Now, I do have some complaints about Miles, but it's not really the fault of his characters or the writers, so I'm going to leave it out of this part. A big part of why so many people were skeptical of Miles was due to his crappy jokes at the beginning. And to be honest, yeah, it annoyed me too, but as time went on and his presence diminished on, well, everything, he kind of grew on me. I definitely think he is my least favorite of the Federation guys, but I didn't find him nearly as annoying as others did, and probably do, to be honest. Well, yeah, anyways, just wait.
Nice doggy! Nice doggy! Oh my god.
Next, we have Tokabi, and I don't remember his first name. He is a Galactic Federation sniper and hunter, and yeah, he's cool.
Oh, you were able to activate
Map of the
this.
facility.
A map of the
I just said
facility.
that.
But it's corrupted.
I want to go here.
Ah, you want to go there.
I just said that too.
In
Hey,
that
don't talk over
case,
me. I can talk
this
over you
elevator is
too.
the only way down.
La la li la la
Powers
loo.
up.
Throughout the game, he is definitely the Federation trooper we get to learn the most about. Unlike everyone else who just stays at base camp for a majority of the game, he is out in the field doing recon work and finding upgrades to give to you. Each time you meet him, he's by a campfire and he tells you stories of his life, his home, his family, Salon, his religion, I think? Over the course of the game, he is definitely the character you are supposed to grow the most attached to. I think that's good because he's given the most depth, which is sorely missed in the other characters. After Takabi, we have Duke. He is a sergeant, and honestly, he is the most basic military type in like any game ever. He has next to no personality. Well, I don't dislike him. He has a good dynamic with his underling Armstrong, who I will be talking about next, but Duke himself lacks anything really. Even Miles, as annoying as he can be, at least has some form of personality.
Boo!
Identify yourself.
Whoa, pal, no need to go all ask questions first, shoot Samus Aran later. Put the fucking gun down!
You're Samus.
You see anyone else around here this awesome?
There were dozens of higher priority targets back at base. I doubt Fed Command would post their best hunter to rescue duty.
That's sad. You need to find more value in yourself.
I've been trying to figure out a way out of this
called
room.
a door.
My problem is
So
that
you don't know what a
boiler
door is?
Now, Armstrong is really fun. She's like a Samus superfan, looking up to her as a role model. And consistently has to be reeled in before she geeks out too hard. But she is also a very competent soldier at the same time. One of my favorite interactions in the whole game is when you walk into base camp and her and Miles are talking about doing push-ups, and she says she does them in 5 or 6 sets of 100, and Miles is like, I can only do 4.
How many push-ups can you do?
I don't know. A lot. I do them in sets of 50. About 5 to 6 sets?
That's 300 push-ups, you know that, right?
Yeah. Why? How many can you do?
I don't know. 4?
4 sets ain't bad.
No, 4 push-ups. I do them in sets of 1. Take my time.
Sarge!
Armstrong, you all right?
I'm good. You?
Yes.
While I was waiting, I was studying this hologram. I just...
Hello.
Well... Samus? It's really you. I don't even know what to say. Is this a new suit?
Finally, someone who gets
it's
it.
amazing. I love it. I love it so
Private.
much. Yes, sir. Right. Sorry. Private First Class Nora Armstrong. It's an honor to meet you, Samus.
You are now my favorite.
My guy's a little weak man. And last but not least, for the Federation troopers, there is VUE 995, or as I call him, Flobel.
Scanning for hostiles. Greetings, Samus Aran. You have a new suit. I am View 995, Galactic Federation Golem Pilot. Pleasure to make your acquaintance.
I shall henceforth refer to you as Flubble.
All done.
Good work, Flubble.
He is a robot whose data log interestingly points out that they can gain human emotion somehow. His model's purpose is to pilot like mechs and stuff, and that just gave me a question like, why make a robot to pilot a giant robot when you could just like give the giant robot the AI? And it's not like Flobel is that weak or anything. Like outside of the robot, his sonic blasts like disintegrate biological matter. Flobel is a tough cookie. I definitely don't dislike him, but also he's a robot that barely does anything, so kind of a shame. I just noticed that after I don't look at Miles in this section, he just teleports across the room in like a matter of seconds. Like, look at that. What?
I fell out of bed. How'd you get over there? Over where?
There.
Where?
There. How'd you get over there?
Who are we talking about?
And that's about it for the good guy NPCs. Not gonna lie, I do kind of love them all. I'm a sucker for leading a squad of soldiers in my video games, and yeah, this hits the spot. I also really like their unique designs as well, each one of them having different armor to denote what they do as well as their rank, and they also all have a unique icon on the side of their screen when they're with you. But my biggest problem with them is that they all lack substance. These are the first major side characters introduced into the series since, like, what, the other bounty hunters in Metroid Prime 3 and, like, Adam in the 2D games? This is one thing I have always kind of disliked about Metroid as a series, and that it really lacks recognizable characters. I get that Metroid is about being alone in space and doing your thing, but other than Samus herself and, like, Ridley, there's no real iconic characters from the franchise. Take the Smash roster for Metroid, for example. There are 4 reps, and 3 of them are a version of Samus, and 1 is Ridley. I think well-developed characters are what the Metroid series sorely lacks, and here we have the base for a great team of characters for Samus to interact with, each with their own unique quirks and personalities, but it never really reaches their full potential. And again, I understand that a good part of what makes Metroid is the isolation. But I think Prime 4 almost strikes the perfect balance of both, but fails in a few areas. My point is, you can have both isolation and character interaction if it's done well, like in Metroid Dread. The next characters I'd like to touch on are the Lemorn. This game's highly advanced alien race who once lived on this planet, but now they've gone extinct. The Lemorn had psychic abilities, and there was a prophecy that a savior would come to save them in a time of great tragedy, who turns out to be Samus. And yeah, they're cool, I guess. This definitely ties more into the level design, but Metroid has always been great at environmental storytelling, and walking through the game's areas, we see temples of worship, their labs, factories, excavation sites, and it's really, really cool. And I think their more rounded architecture really sets them apart from other races in the series like the Chozo. Honestly, it's just kind of nice to not see bird people for once. I know the Chozo aren't in Prime 2, but I haven't played that game, so moving on. The second last character I want to touch on is Sylux.
You again?
Hey, wanna have another staring contest?
No!
Did you know I'm a big fan of Lego Ninjago? Get back, whip around and spin, and then we jump back to it again.
And man, he sucks. Easily my least favorite Metroid antagonist so far. Sylux was the bad guy in Metroid Prime Hunters, and made 2 small appearances in Prime 3 and Federation Force, kinda setting him up being the bad guy in this game. But let me tell ya, he really hates Samus for some reason. And I know the reason, and it's locked behind the special 100% ending of this game, and oh boy, I do not like it at all. Sylux has no presence throughout the game, which is something that happens in a lot of Metroid games. But at least with characters like Ridley and the Space Pirates, they were an organization working together to fight Samus, and Ridley was their leader. But Sylux has nothing to do with the story that's happening on Viros at all, except for him shooting the thing and the 3 boss fights against him. And 2 of them aren't even him. With them waiting 17 years to set him up as the main bad guy in this game, it's strange to me why he says nothing until the end of the game, has no presence, and spoilers, isn't defeated at the end. I think it's implied that he is controlling most of the game's bosses due to the fact that they are guardians of the keys to the teleporter that lets people leave Viros, and they are all now being controlled by Metroids. And I think Sylux has psychic powers or something due to him giving Samus like telekinetic war flashbacks. But I don't know, man. I just genuinely don't like him as a bad guy. And his boss fights are fun, but I don't know, man. Now, the last character I want to touch on is Samus Aran herself. And yeah, I have a huge problem with Samus that isn't a problem in like any other Metroid game I've played up to this point. Giving Samus tons of people to interact with that talk to her, but keeping her silent was a bad idea. I know Other M is the one game where Samus kind of talks, and it's looked back on quite negatively by the fan base, but for me, her speaking wasn't the issue, it was the writing. Samus as a character has been extensively explored in the manga, and even in the other 2D games like Fusion, and even some of the better parts of Other M's story. She is a kind person, she is human, she has capacity, she is capable of showing emotions like fear. But in this game, it's just a constant barrage of characters having one-sided conversations with her.
Armstrong's on the south side of the cannon. She must be in that room, there.
How did you make it glow red?
Where are you headed?
Big cannon. Lava pits.
Looks like we'll have to switch the facility into maintenance mode. Can you switch it to maintenance mode from here?
Beep, boop, boop, beep. Yeah, that usually works.
It isn't working.
I know!
Looks like we'll have to do it manually.
You don't have to make me
Let's
feel
disable
bad
the plan
about
by
it.
going there.
Now, I don't dislike Silent's protagonists. My all-time favorite game franchise is Zelda, and in those games, Link doesn't say words that we hear. But why I think it works in Zelda games, especially the newer ones, is that it's implied that Link says things that we don't hear, and we see Link's face all the time. In Twilight Princess, Skyward Sword, Breath of the Wild, and Wind Waker, we see Link's reactions to things. My favorite cutscenes in Zelda show Link doing things for a reason. Link pounding on Zelda sealed and ambered in Skyward Sword comes to mind. We see the anger, the desperation in his eyes. Or in Breath of the Wild, when he's comforting Zelda after Ganon's attack. No words are said, but the animation expresses the character's emotions perfectly. Care more about what's going on, because Link cares. And while I don't need Samus to take off her helmet for this to work, I think she needs more substance if we're going to have her interact with these other characters. I like the Federation troopers, and the game really wants you to care about them, but it's hard for me to get invested in what's going on, because I'm not invested in Samus's role in the story. Hell, in Dread, when she's fighting Ravenbeak at the end, we see her pissed off through her visor, but instead of getting more of that, we just kind of get nothing. I think Samus should either be silent but be expressive, or not be expressive but deliver minimal dialogue, kind of like Master Chief. We only get to see her looking blankly at people while they talk about themselves or what's going on, but in this game we only get to see Samus looking blankly at people while they talk about themselves, or about what's going on, or about what she's doing. This, more than any other Metroid game I've played, really feels like Samus is just doing things for the sake of doing them. She has no stakes in the plot other than getting off Vuros. And it was definitely my least favorite story in any Metroid game up to this point that I've played. I haven't played Other M, I've heard it's bad, and I think that's a shame. The series definitely needs to push her forward more as a character, and unfortunately, as of right now, that has not happened. But there is one positive with Samus not talking, and that was that I was able to fill in her dialogue with my own internal monologue while playing the game. And that's where those dub clips you've been hearing this whole time came from. Special thanks to Samsung. I really hope I said that right. She was fantastic to work with. Go check her out. Links to her Casticle Club is in the description. Pay this woman money to be in your stuff. She is fantastic, and thank her so much for doing this. This is awesome. But that's all I have to say about the characters overall. A kind of nothing burger, as much as I like and wanted to like the Federation Troopers. Abilities and upgrades.
Ballin'.
Any Metroid game would be incomplete without its abilities, and new to this game is Psychic Powers. In the marketing, they were front and center, used to, and I quote, allow Samus to operate mechanisms and open doors.
Serious and ancient powers. Psychic abilities. These powers allow Samus to operate mechanisms and to open doors.
They put doors in the game? Okay, I just rewatched that trailer from the March 2025 Direct, and what a boring trailer. If it wasn't Metroid Prime 4, I don't think this would have sold me on the game at all. Like, I think it still looks good, but it doesn't really get me pumped, I guess. But anyways, these psychic abilities are the main gimmick of the game. And gimmick it is, to be honest. Other than using it for a few puzzles which are really cool, it's basically pointless. Samus gets all of the normal Metroid Prime armor upgrades, but now they're purple. Instead of the Spider Ball, it's the Psychic Spider Ball. It's the same thing, but it's purple. It allows you to climb up Spider Ball tracks, but sometimes you have to pull out your Psychic Visor and scan a purple cloud thing, and then it creates a thing you can interact with. Conceptually, I think this is cool, but all it does is add an extra step in doing stuff. Instead of just being able to do the thing, I have to scan a thing and then do it. But I do think that the Psychic interactables have one good quality though, and that is giving the designers an excuse as to why these things are just kind of around. They can place them in unconventional places that don't necessarily make sense, allowing for the game to keep the atmospheric level design without kind of messing with the overall aesthetic too much. But even then, I can't really give any creative examples because this feature wasn't really used all that much. Another feature that wasn't used much was the Psychic Morph Ball Bomb. New to this game, you can hold down the bomb button, you can hold down the button to place it in the air, demorph ballify yourself, and then use your psychic powers to take the Morph Ball Bomb into your hand and use it to solve puzzles or attack enemies. This also works with the Power Bomb too. Throwing it at a guy and watching them explode is like super fun. But this too is barely used in the entire game. Literally every single upgrade Samus gets in the game is basically just a normal Metroid-esque power, except now it's purple. I do like the purple aesthetic. I wasn't sold on the red suit you have for most of the game at first, but it really grew on me. Might be my favorite in any Metroid game yet. It looks so cool. Now, I know I just kind of went on about how the upgrades to me kind of felt half-baked, and there was no real new abilities in Samus's arsenal, but I cannot say that about the weapons. Here we have the standard Power Beam and Charge Beam. You know, just like your normal Metroid stuff. We also have the missiles and the super missiles. Again, still just your standard Metroid stuff. But new to this game, I think, are elemental shots. The first one we get is the pretty standard Ice Beam, then Fire, and then the Lightning. These are all fine, each having their uses: Ice Freezes, Fire Burns, and Lightning Shocks. But found in small shrines hidden across the Soul Valley, we find two upgrades for each. A charged version and then a supercharged version, each one consuming more ammo than the last. The Ice Beam gains more projectiles and bounces, and freezes more enemies. The Fire one shoots out a big fire blast, dealing lots of damage, and with a full charge shot shoots like 5 of those projectiles, dealing massive damage. But Lightning, oh my god. Its first charge just kind of shoots a lightning bolt that arcs between enemies, but charging it up, an awesome torrent of lightning destroying everything in your path with a massive blast that also arcs between enemies. And it also just looks really cool. Easily my favorite. I think these are all great, but I found the ice weapon lacking in this game in my opinion. In most Metroids, once you unlock the Ice Beam or Ice Missile, it kinda becomes your go-to since it's super overpowered. But in this game, freezing feels kinda weak. Enemies don't stay frozen for nearly as long as I'd like, and I mostly use it to stun enemies so I can knock it over with a missile, and then stun lock it to death. I do have a similar issue with fire. I find it's only really useful against these Griever enemies and not so much the robots. It's only really useful against these Griever enemies and not the robot, which you find more commonly around the areas. And I also think that the flamethrower from Prime 1 was like way cooler because it's like a flamethrower, come on. But this lightning attack is so cool, so fun, and a goddamn lifesaver. There are parts of this game I am unsure I could have beaten without this. Now the last thing I want to touch on about this is the visor. Gone from at least Prime 1 is the multiple visors. It's just the standard Psychic visor now that has a scan function and that's it. And honestly, I really like this change. It just streamlines down the process of doing most things, and I think it makes the game way more fun and faster. Instead of coming to a wall and going, what do I do? Then switching visors till you find the right one and figuring out what you need to do so you can do the thing, and figuring out what you need to do so you can do the thing. In this game, you can just do the thing, and I like that a lot. Using the Psychic visor is also how you use your purple powers
to operate mechanisms and to open doors,
which just consists of you slowly moving things for a second in order to proceed. One thing I do miss from at least Metroid Prime 1 are the other primary beams Samus's arm cannon used to have. In this game, you only have one, meaning enemies have to be weak to it or the charge beam. As the elemental attacks are relegated to an ammo like the missiles are, does mean you can have anything equipped with your normal attack, but I liked how, when in combat in Prime 1, figuring out what attacks were better against certain enemies makes combat feel more like a puzzle. While here, I don't want to use my cool attacks as much simply because they're limited. It's not that hard to find ammo, especially on casual or normal, but I'm one of those guys who will load a strong weapon until the end of the game if it's limited, or try to avoid using items in RPGs just in case I need them. So, I don't necessarily dislike this change. I do like how it streamlines the Metroid Prime experience, but I also do miss the old way too. Overall, the abilities and upgrades are great. except for the last one. I'll get to that at the end of the video. I want to cover the conclusion in its own section. The level design. The level design in this game is fantastic. Exploring and running around in a Metroid game has never felt this good to me. The game mixes exploration and progress of the areas perfectly. There are still tons of hidden goodies and things to come back to with new upgrades. Other than one part at the very beginning of the game, I didn't get lost at all for the first time in a Metroid game, and it made the experience feel so refreshing. There was never a point where I forgot where to go, and no puzzle I couldn't solve without just giving it some thought. I think from a design department, we are batting a 9 out of 10. There are a few instances that I think put a big blemish on an otherwise perfect design experience. Number 1.
Editing Barty here. I'm just gonna straight up cut number 1. After looking through the footage, I don't even know what I was talking about here. This wasn't an issue at all. It was something about Miles misleading me, but that actually just like never happened. I think maybe it's actually yeah, no, I just checked again, and yeah, no, it's just there's nothing. I don't know what I'm going on about right now. I apologize, Miles. I was complaining about something that just didn't happen.
Number 2, going into the snow area sucks. You walk into a loading screen and go up an elevator, wait, then get on a tram, loading screen. I think it's really strange how this one area is literally an elevator that you have to go up or down, and then a thing that you ride to the area. Why not just have the entrance from the overworld be the thing that you ride? That's what they did for all the other areas, so it's just strange. Not a big deal, but it really stands out in an otherwise really well-designed game. 3. The psychic powers don't really do anything. As the game went on, I found myself using them less and less. I would sometimes go like 3 or 4 hours without using any of them. I got stuck at this one part on the Volt Forge simply because I forgot about the power bomb thing, and the game had to tell me because I hadn't needed to use it for hours. It's the same for the open doors thing. Other than a few instances in the beginning and going into the shrines in Soul Valley, you don't really use it at all. They also give Samus the control beam, which I forgot to write about in the ability section because I forgot about it until now. It lets you control where the beam goes like the beetle in Skyward Sword, but it's just barely used. There's like one mini boss in Volt Forge, the first boss, then the lava boss and the final boss, and like 3 doors you need to use it on, and then it's basically useless. You unlock an upgrade for it too super late in the game that makes it faster, but the speed isn't really an issue because you don't use it that much. I used it for scouting more than anything else, and maybe a few puzzles here or there that I thought would be a control beam puzzle, but they just kinda turned out to be nothing, which is a damn shame, because I think it's conceptually really cool. But yeah, the psychic powers just aren't really used all that well in the actual level design. And that is lame. But also might be a good thing. Like, if I needed to use the psychic visor to open every door, and every time I had to do the motion with my stick, and that just makes me think that they came up with the idea and then realized after making the first area that it might not be as fun as they thought, and just didn't use it in 80% of the game. Number 4. Miles won't shut the hell up.
Clearly not, Miles. Go away. I feel like you aren't listening to a word I say.
Now, this is what I mentioned earlier. This is more of a game design problem than a Miles character problem. When you are in Soul Valley, he will not stop calling you, telling you where to go. I'm all for hints in this type of game, but I don't need Miles calling me every 10 minutes telling me to head to the volcano or to head to base camp to talk to him when I'm exploring in my Metroid game. It sucks because they had the perfect solution. When you open up the map, you literally have a call Miles button and he gives you a hint or tells you how to progress. This is something they could definitely fix in an update. Have him call you once, or preferably not at all, after you leave an area, and then let the player decide if they need Miles' help to progress the game. You can only call him from the overworld too, not in the actual areas, making those way more fun to explore. And I like the concept of Soul Valley, but Miles just telling me where to go and what to do is just really annoying and just sucks. Number 5. Another issue I have with the level design of this game is something really minor. You will occasionally find these glowing chips in busted machines. You get 4 of these total. These are how you get the other arm cannon upgrades, but in order to get them, you have to pick it up, then go back to Miles, give it to him, and he programs it, gives it to Samus, she puts it in her arm cannon, and now you have the power. My only guess as to why they did this is to give you an incentive to go into this elemental puzzle room near base camp, but even then, those deal with mechanics that are like never again used in the game, like freezing water or moving stuff around to make an electrical current, and this room is placed right next to the fast travel cannon that brings you from the front of Fury Green to base camp. So if we skipped over me coming here and talking to Miles and then leaving, most players would go, oh hey, what's in this room, and then come open it anyway with their new abilities once they just go back to base camp for story reasons. New abilities once they come back to base camp, since there are other mandatory reasons that just make more sense. I don't know, it's really minor, but I think it kind of breaks the flow of the game a little bit. Like, imagine you're playing Zelda and you get the bow, but uh-oh, you don't have any arrows. So now you have to leave the dungeon, buy arrows, and then go back to playing the game. Again, it's not a big deal, but it was definitely slightly annoying to me. Number 6, and last, the only other really minor issue I have is that most buttons in the game won't activate until you scan them. Like, I just want to hit a button and see what it does, but I have to first pull out my scan visor, scan the thing, read the pop-up, then I can hit the button. There is never a time in the game where hitting a button actively hurts you, so there's not really a point in reading what the button does. I just want to press it and see what it does, and then also just have the option to scan it and see what it does. Man, this video is coming off way more negative than I thought. I just want to say, I love this game. And that's why I think I care so much. Other than those things, the level design in this game is freaking awesome. The game is split up into 6 main areas: Fury Green, Volt Forge, Ice Belt, Flare Pool, Great Mines, and the hub world, Soul Valley. And I think their names are pretty self-explanatory, and they're also pretty standard for Metroid. Jungle, Snow, Lava, Cave. The only really unique areas are the Soul Valley and the Volt Forge. Starting off with the Fury Green, we have a great atmospheric jungle that serves as our introduction to the game. It is simple, but well designed. And looking out over the horizon and all the foliage, one thing came to mind. This game looks fucking fantastic, dude. I love it so much. I have never and will be a graphics or frames per second snob, but that doesn't mean I don't like a pretty looking game when I see one. And oh boy, this is one of the best looking games ever, in my opinion. Anyways, Fury Green is cool. I especially love base camp. Once you get everyone there, the place feels really lively with lots of seats and decor, and I just think it's awesome. The Volt Forge is also really cool. It's basically one big factory powered by the lightning of a perpetual thunderstorm. And it's super cool seeing how the violas get made as we traverse to turn on the power. The Ice Belt is probably my favorite area aesthetically. It's one large Lemurian facility that was used to try and cure the Lemurians. I don't know if it's Lemurians or Lemorn. Like, is Lemorn plural for their race? I'm gonna keep calling them Lemornians because it sounds funny. It's one large Lemornian facility that was used to try and cure the Lemornians affected by the Great Tragedy, with lots of equipment scattered around and a whole facility frozen over. It gives a great atmosphere, and when you do come back later, you go deeper and find this outer windy section. You do some platforming while trying not to get blown off the platforms. It's really cool. The Flare Pool, on the other hand, is definitely my least favorite area in the game, aesthetic-wise. Lava never really did it for me, so the fire area, I don't know. I do like the function that as you enter the volcano, you find this big cannon thing that's sending down the green rain that's going all over Vuros. But that gets blown up pretty early on, so I don't know, it just didn't really do it for me.
Change of plans. You'll be safe. They can't follow you anymore.
Wait! No!
He knows we can dig, right?
See you on the other side, kid!
The Great Mines are, well, great mines. This area is basically just a descent down deep into a cave, which is cool. But I don't know, I think it's probably the worst designed area to play in, simply because it feels like the game is just spamming enemies at you instead of giving you any fun areas to explore or puzzles to solve. But I don't hate it. I like it aesthetically because I love caves and mining equipment aesthetically, but I don't know, it just doesn't do it for me gameplay wise. Last is the Soul Valley, and yeah, it's pretty good. I was really worried that Metroid Prime 4 was going to be an open world game when I saw this place in the trailer and Samus on a bike. Don't get me wrong here, I love open world games. Breath of the Wild is a contender for my favorite game ever made. But in recent years I've kind of gotten tired of open world games, if I'm being honest. And thankfully, here we have a hub world, and that's it. There are secrets to find here, tons of them across the shrine things, and the parts of the facility from the start of the game that get teleported with you. As well as Tokabi out here.
Bro, are you playing the space harmonica?
Samus, please, join me.
I don't own a harmonica.
Do you feel that?
No, I'm wearing armor.
Dry wind blows across the land.
No shit, really.
The sound of the breeze and the voices of the creatures that dwell here remind me of home.
You lived in a desert?
My family comes from a long line of hunters. Hunting is how we survived.
My family comes from a long line of Metroid
Like
Prime hunters.
my father and grandfather before me. Now, when I catch the scent of game in the wind, I remember those who came before. Anyway, I lose myself.
It's the music, the moment you want it, you better never let it go. You only get one shot, do not miss your chance to blow, cause opportunity...
And I love these places. The only issue I have is that Viola's boost recharges too slowly, and the only way to make it faster is to scan the amiibo, which I have, and it like triples the recharge time. But you can only use it once a day, and as soon as you leave the Soul Valley, it's gone. There are optional boost charges that give you more boosts, but they are kinda hard to find, and you need one of the elemental shots to activate them. But other than that, it's great. I really like this area. The level design and atmosphere in this game is near perfection. There are a few weak points, but they don't ruin the package for me at all. The music. The music is fantastic. Yeah. God damn. This might be one of the greatest video game soundtracks of all time. I don't think there's a single bad song in the bunch. My favorite, however, is Fury Green's theme. It's got this mysterious eeriness to it, and oh my god, it's so good. I love it. The music is fantastic. The amiibo. I bought the amiibo before I knew what they did. I just wanted the figures, to be honest. They look really cool. Now, I know people are really mad about the amiibo, and I get it. Let's start off with the Samus amiibo. All it does is unlock some stuff and give you a shield once a day. And then the next amiibo is where the controversy lies. The Samus and Viola amiibo apparently have playing music in the Soul Valley while you're driving locked behind them. And like I said, you get the recharge boost. I get why people are mad, but I'm also hearing people say that you can get the music without the amiibo eventually anyway. And I'm genuinely not sure. I don't think the Soul Valley needs music either. I honestly think it's better without it, being this really desolate, lonely place. But I 100% get why people are mad. But I also don't think this is so much a problem with the game and more so with the amiibo. With an amiibo, if they lock substantial content behind it, like, what the hell, I have to pay more money to get the full experience? And then if they lock nothing behind it, what the hell did I buy this figure for then? I definitely think amiibo are at their best when they're cool, or just have when they're cool and just have skins locked behind them. Or other things, like exclusive weapons and gear that's mostly for fan service, like in Breath of the Wild. Oh, and the Samus and Viola amiibo unlock skins for your bike, and I think that might be exclusive. But, yeah, this was one of, if not the most controversial amiibo. And I couldn't even figure out how to turn on the music in Soul Valley. So, the last amiibo released for this game was the Psylocke amiibo. And what does he lock behind him? Get this. You can tap him and hear him say things. Yeah, this is just dumb. I don't like the guy, so it makes sense that his amiibo sucks, and hearing him say things just doesn't do it for me. The figure looks cool, though. Enemies and bosses. Enemies and bosses in this game are cool. Starting with the enemies, I mean, they're fine, I guess. Other than at the start of the game, there are no space pirates in a Metroid game, which I am totally fine with. But replacing the space pirates in this game as our new basic enemies, we have the Grievers. These things. I think they look really cool, and each area they appear in has a different version of them. But other than the Grievers, we have these little robot guys, big robot guys, and turrets as our main threats here. And I can't help but feel like we're kind of lacking because of it. In Metroid Prime 1, I remember way more unique enemies in each area, and while there are a few types of Grievers, they all go down the same way, and just as fast, so they don't really stick out in my mind. And that's just to say that I think the enemies in this game are sorely lacking in variety of challenge. The only real different encounters are with the robots with shields and the ones that teleport, but even then you can just pull off the shield with the grapple beam, are probably the most engaging basic enemy fight in the game, but you can just cheese them by shooting them with an ice blast, and then missile spamming to stun lock them to death. Honestly, if there was one part of the game I am most disappointed by, it's for sure this one. I think Metroid Prime 1 had so much more interesting fauna and enemies to fight, and I wish Prime 4 just had more of it. The bosses, on the other hand, are generally pretty good. I don't think the boss fights here are nearly as difficult as in Prime 1, or really as memorable, but there's one thing about the 5 bosses that hold the teleporter keys that I really like. As you defeat them, back in your base camp there's a room with 5 statues, and with each boss defeat, a statue opens and a mote appears. Inserting it into this machine and moving the crystal, we get lore. My favorite thing. You can scan the bosses, and it says they're being possessed by Metroids. How did the Metroids get here and specifically possess the bosses that were super deep in all of the caves and none of the other enemies? I don't know. But before that, they were all seen as sort of guardian deities by the Lemorn. Each one was once a creature that lived peacefully with the Lemorn, both benefiting from a relationship with each other. As it became clear that the Chosen One would not arrive during the lifetime of the last Lemorn, he entrusted these creatures with the key to the teleporter. Each with a key to the teleporter. It's some really cool stuff, and I do think this will make them stick out in my mind a lot more in the future. But anyways, let's talk about each fight individually except for the final boss. First is Arbarax. He is the first boss during the prologue section, and he is really easy. But his function is to introduce the player to the new aiming controls, and the rest of the game will use this in more challenging ways. So I think that it's fine that he was easy. 7 out of 10. Second, Carvex. He is this game's plant boss, and serves that function fine. He is one of the few fights in the game that require you to use the control beam. He is also generally really easy and, I don't know, kinda boring. I think he leaves way less of an impression than Flagra did in Prime 1. But still, fine. 5 out of 10. Next is the first Psylocke fight. And here, he is a Beyblade. Aside from how funny this is, seeing how he's supposed to be the antagonist, it's fine. Kind of annoying. You have to, bait him into hitting your bombs, and it's not really hard, just tedious and boring. 6 out of 10.
The Master Teleporter Key Guardian of the Volt Forge. And to be honest with you, I don't remember a single thing about this boss fight. Not one. And considering I beat him 3 days ago, I think that's a bad thing. 4 out of 10. After looking it up, I went, oh yeah, that fight. 7 out of 10.
Oh yeah, I totally forgot about Kuritos or whatever. I did not record this, or write about him at all. So yeah, he's the ice boss in this game. You kind of just like run around, shoot him a bunch, and you just shoot him. You shoot him in the eyeball. I honestly think he might have been the easiest boss with lots of very like just basic attacks and whatever. I'd say like 7 out of 10.
Following that, we have Fenros, this big dragon dude, and honestly, this might be the best fight in the whole game. First, you have to drive on Viola and pop his bubbles under his belly, and then you hop on it. Then you hop on its paralyzed body and battle its head. Honestly, this is again my favorite fight in the game, except for near the end where you have to use the control beam to shoot a thing in the back of its throat, and I forgot that I had the control beam because I hadn't used it in like 4 hours. And didn't figure it out fast enough, and I died for the second time and had to start the whole fight over again. 8 out of 10.
What now?
Staring contest?
God damn it.
He has a bunch of electric moves, and you just get to blast him with stuff. Way more fun than his first fight, since you're switching. Way more fun than his first fight, since you're swinging all around on stuff. 8 out of 10.
Oh, I'm dying! Oh, I'm dying!
Finally!
Plot twist!
Fuck!
Holy shit, I fucking exploded! Oh my god!
Second last, for what I'm covering right now, is the Omega Griever. This is a big Griever, and you just have to shoot his weak points lots.
7 out of 10. This fight is way better than what me recording me and writing me thought. This fight was great. I refought him recently. Yeah, no, this is like at least a 7 out of 10, man.
The last boss, other than the Psylocke fight, is Varmus. And this one's cool. It eats a thing, and then we just shoot its tail and hit it with Viola lots, and that's it. This is the only fight that takes place in the Soul Valley, so that's pretty cool. 6 out of 10. Overall, like I said before, kind of a mediocre boss showing. Nothing all that bad, but nothing too amazing either. There was no fight here that really frustrated me like in other FPS games, and especially Prime 1, but nothing that really sticks out. And wow, look at that. Almost done the video. Finally. I say that, and then I have fucking 5 more pages to do. Jesus Christ. The story. The story of Metroid Prime 4 is okay, I guess. Let me walk you through it, and then I'll give you my thoughts.
Actually, before that, I would just like to preface this by saying I'm talking about the story more in context of the events that happen, and not so much the lore that you understand and learn through the scans. That stuff I really like, but I'm kind of approaching the story from a more casual fan of the game who wouldn't read every single log entry like I did. So just to explain what's going on a little bit before I actually dive into my complaints about what's going on.
Samus arrives at the facility being attacked by Psylocke, and then he hits this game's logo and we get teleported to Vuros. Samus finds herself in Chrono Tower, where she is given psychic powers by a statue, and then has a vision given to her by the last Lamorne. Once she reaches the top of the tower, she is told that in order to leave the planet, she has to gather 5 keys to use the Master Teleporter. She is then warped to Fury Green, where after exploring a little bit, she meets up with Miles, and we are introduced to the Grievers. We take them out, we then see this big robot in pieces called Betsy, and Miles sets up base camp, and Samus faces the first boss and gets the teleport key. Samus heads to the Volt Forge to turn the power back on, and along the way gets the Viola suit. After turning the power back on, she faces Psylocke in combat. This is the Spinny fight. After winning, it is revealed that he is a robot in disguise. From there, she heads over to the Ice Belt, where on her way, she is attacked by these dumb ice wolves in the worst fight in the game. It's so long and needlessly difficult in a game that's otherwise really easy, and then is saved by someone blasting the wolves with a big laser gun.
Heading inside, she meets up with Tokabi and heads into the Ice Belt's research facility to turn on the power so they can get into the room where the teleport key is. As Samus explores the frozen facility, we see broken lab equipment and data logs about experiments. We also find a video showing an experiment on a Lemorn that fails. It is said to have been the last experiment done. But anyways, we turn on the power, releasing all of the ice grievers frozen in stasis. We have a quick fight, Tokabi heads to base camp, and we descend into the boss room. It's around now we unlock this thing. I honestly forget exactly where it comes into play.
Yeah, it's like the third thing that happens in the whole game. I don't know what the fuck I was on about. I think I had just been up all night writing this goddamn script. Yeah, no, you interact with it like just after leaving base camp for the first time, and they tell you all about it. So it should have been way earlier in the thing, but whatever.
But basically, back in Fury Green, we have this big tree that Lemornians worship, and it also absorbs knowledge. And Samus is asked to get the seed from that tree and plant it on a new world so the legacy of the Lemorn can live on. After the Ice Belt, Samus heads to the Flare Pool, where she encounters Duke, and together they make their way to Armstrong.
Do you often find yourself unable to speak to women?
Let's head up.
Do you know what an elevator does?
Let's head up.
Is that all you...
Those suits!
What?
Let's head up.
Passing by this large cannon that shoots up the green energy all over Viros, strengthening the wildlife. Together, Samus, Duke, and Armstrong break apart the cannon to enter the lower area of the Flare Pool, where Samus faces off against the fourth boss, and gains the fourth teleporter key. It is shortly after this where I learned what the great tragedy is. As it turns out, the Lemornians developed the cannon that sprayed the green liquid to give life and prosperity to the creatures of Viros. But when a Lemorn touches it, they turn into these strange creatures they named Grievers. So the whole time, we have been fighting the mutated Lemorn, which was a twist I did not see coming, but was kind of obvious in hindsight, and that's really cool. Following that, Samus takes a detour back to the Volt Forge, where she faces off against Psylocke once again in a one-on-one fight, defeats him, turns out he was a robot in disguise, and then gets the lightning upgrade. She then heads back over to the Ice Belt, where she reactivates Flobel. And the two of them get some upgrade, I don't remember which one, and then we leave.
You'll want to be careful underground. I'm not getting any readings.
That's why we're here.
I'm ready.
Ready when you are, Samus.
Samus then meets up with the gang at the Great Mines, and they are attacked by Grievers.
Thought I did all that training.
Tokabi, you smell something?
What is it?
Nothing good.
Like a lot of Grievers. Tokabi and Flobel decide to stay behind and hold off the Grievers, while Samus, Duke, and Armstrong head down into the mines. And Miles is back at base camp, because he's a loser. Fighting our way down, both Duke and Armstrong make the most pointless sacrifices in history. They're like, they won't stop coming, Samus, we'll hold them off. When these guys can dig, you know, like, come on, you frickin' idiots. Shooting a missile makes them spawn. They come out of the frickin' ground. This is pointless. Just stay with me.
Samus, now's your chance. Go! I'll be right behind you.
Come on, I'll cover you. Hurry up. What are you doing?
Find that key, Samus. I'll keep them occupied.
You know they can dig, right? Ugh. God damn it.
It has been an honor serving with you.
Bitches be dying left and right today.
But anyways, we then meet up with Flobel. How he got down here, I don't know.
Well, you got me. By all accounts, it doesn't make sense.
But he blows up some stuff for us and makes the most necessary sacrifice ever, as he chucks Samus and Morph Ball across a huge gap and then gets mobbed by Grievers. Samus continues down where she faces the Omega Griever and gets the last teleporter key, and activates the elevator. We find out everyone's alright. Heading back up, we meet up with Dokabi and are given the last 2 missions. Collect all of the broken mech pieces so we can punch through the shield around Chrono Tower and get the tree seed. After talking to Dokabi and getting the teleport thing and then talking to Miles, we can now drive around, fight 2 bosses, and Miles fixes Betsy. Hopefully while you were doing this, you had enough of these green crystals to get the seed, because if not, I think this part will be really annoying, as you would have to drive around and get all of them. But anyways, we get the seed, and then we enter the final act of the story. Now, overall, for this whole part of the story, I don't really have any issues other than I want more. Like, this is fine as it is. And the Lamorne stuff has lots of really cool lore and depth. But the game both is and isn't about that. It's simultaneously about Psylux, the Samus Squad, and the Lamorne. And it's not necessarily that I think that any of these are handled poorly, or that multiple storylines in a game are a bad thing. In fact, I think the exact opposite. Take Wind Waker. That story is really well told in the way it develops from Link trying to save his sister. The game builds up to it in a continuous story, whereas in Prime 4, it's Psylux is evil, then stranded and trying to get home with the Federation troopers, and then the Lamorne stuff. It feels like 3 separate ideas running concurrently that don't really overlap that much. The stuff with Psylux is barely there in the whole game, to the point where I knew he was going to be the final boss, but his presence doesn't really exist. Take Prime 1 for example, where the final boss is the titular Metroid Prime. This too is an idea that kind of comes out of nowhere. But looking at the game's story as a whole, the Chozo are being affected by the Leviathan and seal it away as their planet is being infected with Phazon. And they try to stop it, and they fail. The space pirates are running experiments and growing strange creatures infused with Phazon, and it's a known ability of the Metroids to absorb energy. And we know that Phazon corrupts stuff, so when Samus enters the crater and faces the Metroid Prime, it makes sense. Because the main threat of the story is Phazon. Phazon is the problem, Phazon is what's fueling the antagonists, and Phazon is what is fueling the final boss. Whereas in this game, the green goo stuff is a lot more vague. It kind of acts the same way, but Psylux's presence isn't felt through most of the adventure. Like, I get his Metroids are what are controlling the other bosses, but I can't help but think the game's story would have been better had he not been there. This is my example as to how I would have wrote the plot of this game without Psylux. Samus is at the research station from the start because the Galactic Federation is running an experiment on an artifact they found that's emitting a strange signal with coordinates that seem to be outside the known galaxy, as well as a message about this artifact being some sort of teleportation device. So the Galactic Federation calls Samus. And they want her there in case anything bad happens. The experiment begins to activate it. It works, but they give it too much power accidentally and Samus is taken to Viros as prophesized. The story plays out the same from there, but replacing the Psylux fights with just different robots. And the deities of the planet are fully aware of what they're doing, and have been tasked to face the Chosen One in battle to give them the abilities they need to save the Lemurian culture, and their own history, which is preserved within the tree. We find out all the same info, but instead at the top, Samus is faced with the last Lemorne turned into some kind of special griever. Defeating him allows the gang to leave Viros and plant the tree. I don't know, that's just an idea. If you liked the story the way it is, that's cool. But personally, I just can't get behind it in its current state. And I think it comes down to how much I just dislike Psylux in this game, since he, again, really has no agency over the plot at all. The endings.
Let's follow the little flying robots. Let's follow the little flying robots.
Why do I even bother talking to you?
Alright, the last stop, other than my clothing... I can't say closing. I don't know why I keep fucking putting it in my scripts. Alright, the last stop, other than my closing thoughts. Let's touch on the endgame. Samus gets the final suit, which looks sick by the way, and it has a pretty not great upgrade. It takes missiles to give you a small shield that damages enemies, but I never really found a use for it, since after you get it, you've already basically done everything, unless you waited until this point to go get all the collectibles, but why would you do that? Anyways, now that Samus has the seed, it's not actually a seed, it's fruit, but when Miles has fixed the mech, Samus and the squad enter Chrono Tower, and we get to hear the last words of the final Lamorne. and Samus goes to activate the Master Teleporter and take everyone home. When suddenly, Silex appears from a healing pod, and I think he's being empowered by the green stuff, and he's got tentacles now.
I can't believe it. We're actually going home.
Why? Why did you say no?
Let me help you up.
No, fuck you.
What?
You bitch. You did this. You bitch.
He's here.
Now you know the dark truth. You know the truth. All I wanted was a staring contest, yet you deny me time and time again. But now you have nowhere to run. Now you must face me in one final staring contest.
You're on, dickweed.
And this leads to one of the weakest finales in the series. Breaking this fight down to its basic elements, we have two phases. Phase 1, Silex has these green tentacles and we blast them. Then we pull them away with the grapple beam, and then he's exposed. Then he pulls out these dragon heads. Each are a different element, and we blast those until his things turn green again, rinse and repeat until you're on phase 2. And by itself, this is fine. It's definitely the most challenging boss fight in the game, and it's the only one I failed, other than that time I died to the lava guy. But the failure against this Silex fight was not my fault. You see, I have neglected to mention this up until this point, but your squad members can die. I heard a lot of people complaining about this in the press demos, but it never happened to me once, until the final boss. During his lightning phase, he could basically one-shot your team and knock them down, or you have to use your psychic powers to heal them. But he strikes lightning again so fast that when they go down, or more than one goes down, which is likely, there's basically no way to prevent him from killing them, in my experience, which sucks. And it's the reason why I don't want to play this boss on hard mode. Other than this one part, I really like the team mechanic. I think it worked well. If anything, I think it needed more depth. Like, maybe have it play more like Star Wars Republic Commandos or something. I would not mind seeing a squad in another game. But back to the fight.
Had enough? No. In fact, quite the opposite. Magic Space Model go!
After blowing off his tentacles, he takes Samus through a space portal, and you fight him while traveling in space for a bit, which is cool, and then we land on whatever this is supposed to be.
Now we stare at each other in space.
How am I breathing? Freaking coward!
You can't catch me.
Get back here, loser! No more running.
Just you and me, Samus. Like I always wanted. Mono e mono. Eyeball.
Getting real sick of your shit, Bikucks. How about I finally pop your ass and head home?
Blast him some more. He's a kid now, he's a squid now, he's a kid, he's a squid, he's a kid, he's a squid. And then he falls into space, as Samus tries to save him, I think.
The pain only fuels me. Whoops, oh shit.
Serves you right, bitch. Oh, gross.
And that's the fight. All I really have to say about this is 5 out of 10.
Shouldn't we go after her?
Tell me how and I'm there. Alert! Spatial anomaly detected. Great. What now? Here we go. Be ready for anything.
What's up?
Samus!
That's me.
I knew you'd come back.
I haven't been hugged since before I watched my parents get brutally murdered.
Never doubted you for a second, boss.
Glad to have you with us.
Samus, Does that mean Silex is
Dead? Probably not.
good?
I don't get to have friends for more than one game.
Ready to go home?
Yes, oh my god, I need a
Be
bath.
right behind you.
Samus returns back to Chrono Tower somehow and activates the Master Teleporter. But Silex teleports back and tries to get Samus. He blasts Miles, and the rest of the team hold Silex back while he's all like, "Grah, Samus, I hate you, grr!" Samus hits the button, Tokabi throws her his family heirloom, and Samus teleports, leaving the squad and Silex behind. And then credits roll.
You did it.
We're really going home.
You said it, not me.
Call me William Afton, cause I always come back.
Well, I'll be a monkey. Son of a bitch.
You can't escape the staring contest, Samus. I win.
No!
Protect the teleporter!
Are you alright?
No, I just got shot. Of course I'm alright. I'm saving this goddamn Aaron.
Get out the way! Get out the way, bitch! Get out the... Ow! Dick! No, can't touch this.
Providing cover.
You fool! I absorbed enough Nickelodeon slime to make me invincible!
I've heard worse before. Why am I having such a hard time standing up and
Teleporter's
discussing?
not gonna last long. You gotta make the jump while you still can.
Do your best to stabilize the power.
Stabilize the power.
Good job. How are you guys holding up out there? Bubble, no!
Global, yes!
Michael, no!
Holy shit, I hit someone! I am the coolest guy!
Peter, no, Miles! Miles, no! No, I won't leave you!
No!
No, let go of me! Hey, that arm's for my beautiful face! Stop holding onto my arm gun thing! Oh, I'm still walking, no!
Okay, fine, I'm gonna leave you guys. Sorry.
Wait, did she say she's
Damn it! I promise I'll be back if we get a sequel and the story follows up this game. It's in the cutscene we skipped over. I'll treasure it always.
Solon be with you.
And with you. Peace, bitches.
After the credits, we see Samus on a desolate planet, which I think is the remains of the base from the beginning of the game. Samus plants the tree and gives it her psychic crystal thing, and it grows big. She pulls out Tokabi's heirloom and places it on the tree and walks away. And that's it. Now, I have a few problems with this ending, but I want to bring up the super secret ending you get for 100% completing the game. Something I didn't do. I got 99% because I missed 2 scans. The internet is telling me that they aren't missable, but they totally are. And that's this beetle thing here, and there's supposed to be something at Chrono Tower, like a bird, I think, but it's not there. Anyways, I looked up the ending on YouTube because I didn't feel like playing through the game again right now. The secret ending is the same, but Samus takes her helmet off, a staple I love in these games. But here, I don't know, I think she may look a bit too stoic at the end of this game. Like, I would have preferred her feel emotions. I think I prefer the version of this ending with her helmet on, because at least I can more easily, as an audience member, make up how I think she must be feeling, or interpret that she's feeling the same way I am right now. But also, in the super secret ending, we get the Psylocke backstory. And let me tell you, this does not help me like him at all. I may hate him even more now. So, Psylocke was once an officer in the Galactic Federation. He was battling with some space pirates. His commander told him not to charge the new space pirate super weapon and wait for Samus. He didn't listen, he ran in, they activated it, his entire platoon died while he jumped in a hole. Samus shows up, blows up the weapon, saving him and any of his men that are still alive. She goes to help him up, he slaps her hand, and that's it. That's his evil origin story. He did something stupid, Samus saved him, and now he hates her. What a shitty bad guy. And this secret cutscene is what they've been teasing us about the entire game, with Samus and Psylocke's weird Vietnam War flashbacks. Now, it may sound like I don't like the ending of this game, which I don't. I find the other characters' sacrifices felt kind of unneeded. Like, can't Psylocke's teleport? Is that not what happened during the boss fight? So could he just leave anyway? Or why not hold him back inside the Master Teleporter and then pop his ass once they get off Euros? I mean, we didn't see anyone die at the end of this game, so Psylocke may not kill them.
Yeah, editing Bori here again. I forgot to mention he has mind control powers. That's what they say in his data log. I'm not sure how. They don't know how either. He's just somehow gained mind control powers in between his appearance here and the other games. I don't know.
But, like, we also don't see Psylocke die. And there's no way Psylocke is being beaten by the team, so I don't know. Maybe they're planning on bringing him and the team back in another Metroid game, which could be cool.
Editing Barty here again. I doubt that, since Sam is hanging Takabi's thingy on the tree, kind of feels pretty conclusive that they're definitely dead.
There is that thing about how 12 Lemorns left Vuros in search of the Chosen Ones, so maybe there are more of those teleportation devices in the galaxy that Samus can find and head back and save them. Maybe Psylocke forces Miles to figure out how the teleporter works and then he just uses it to leave now that Samus has already collected the keys? I don't know. These were honestly just a few of my thoughts immediately after finishing the game. I think the reason why the gang getting left behind bothers me so much is because there's no other characters in this universe. Samus is always alone until she gets Adam Infusion, something that is unfortunately a constant with Samus' story throughout all of the games and other material, is that she just has no friends, no family, everyone around her dies. One of the most impactful moments in her life is in Other M and Fusion. When in Other M, in order to save the world, Adam decides to sacrifice himself to save her, when she wants to be the one to do it, a decision she doesn't understand at the time. And in Fusion, she is ready to give her life again, where Adam, now the AI based off of Adam, tells her not to. The idea that she has to sacrifice herself because it's something that he would do is a flawed way of thinking. She is far more useful to the universe alive, because she can save more people that way.
Okay, so that assumption might be wrong. I'm looking at the Metroid wiki, and apparently Metroid Prime 4 Beyond takes place after Federation Force and before Metroid 2, Super Metroid, Other M, Fusion, and Dread.
I think that's why she lets the others sacrifice themselves at the end of the game. But at the same time, having more people alive and around that Samus knows and likes could lead to way more story potential, in my opinion. And as much as I love the Metroid franchise, seeing how basic and bare bones this story is, and how weird the ending felt, I can't help but think almost every other game in this franchise did what this game did story-wise, the exact same, if not better. Conclusion. Welcome to the end of what is likely to be my longest video yet. I really liked Metroid Prime 4. I would probably give it an 8 out of 10 overall, despite my general dislike for parts of the story and the ending. I think the game, gameplay-wise, was exactly what the Metroid Prime series needed after its long hiatus. A great return to form for the series. Some people were disappointed that it didn't push the series forward enough, but personally, I think that's not what the series needed right now. I think we needed the gameplay style we got, and while I personally did not like the story, the moment-to-moment gameplay was really fun from start to finish. I was never really bored while playing, and I can't help but see that as a good thing. Hopefully this game sells well and we get a sequel in a few years that pushes the series forward with something new and fresh. Unfortunately, this game feels very been there, done that. And that's not to say that that's a bad thing. Again, I think it was a good idea to make the big resurrection of this series a return to form to help appeal to new fans that may be getting into the game based on positive reviews or just morbid curiosity after how long this game took to come out. With that, my hat is off to you, Retro Studios, and everyone who worked on this game. You made a great one, despite how negative this video may have come off, I really liked this game, and I would recommend it to any FPS or Metroid fan. And that's it. I loved my time with this game, and I am definitely going to play it again in the future. I am really looking forward to whatever the Metroid franchise does next. Maybe a movie. It could be like Aliens, you know? I think it'd be really cool. I'm literally in film school for writing. Nintendo, you should let me write the Metroid movie. Nintendo, please. Please, Nintendo, please, let me write the Metroid movie, please. Nintendo, let me write the Metroid movie. Please. Please, Nintendo. Please. Please, Nintendo, please.
Man, this place is a dome. Hard to believe it's only been 4 hours since I left. Well, looks like all my friends died again. Shit. Grass. I forgot what that looked like. Well, better start digging. Scoop. Scoop. Where do I store this stuff anyway? I'ma plant me a dumbass tree. Oh shit, what's going on? Am I dead? God, is that you? Whoa, that was weird. Fuck this crystal. Get in the ground! Hey, are you the plant from Wall-E? Guess not. I should probably leave this here. No room on the gunship. Well, as I always say, all in a day's work